Hey guys, this is Raj from the James Brown Podcast, here to review Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods. So, originally this was supposed to be actually in the podcast episode that's supposed to come out this week, but that's been delayed, scheduling conflicts, Spencer's fault. We'll talk about that in the actual podcast. So I decided that I'll just do a review as a separate kind of video review kind of thing. It's not usually what we do, but I kind of wanted to try it out. So like most of the James and Brown stuff that we do, it's going to be a little rambly. It's just kind of how we do things here. Therefore, if you want to skip straight to my final thoughts and my verdict, you could just click the timestamp that I put in the description here. But yeah, so Dragon Ball Z is something that I have an enormous amount of nostalgia for, more so than any other anime in the world. If you listen to podcasts regularly, you know that it's not the first anime I've seen. That's Cardcaptor Sakura, I think. But it's one of the few first ones to see, and one of the first that I really got into, and I watched for a very long period of time. I've seen all of Dragon Ball Z, beginning to end, at least 10 times, and I've seen individual sagas more than that. I've seen almost every single movie with the exception of Eradicate the Saiyans and Bio Broly. Bio Broly because it just doesn't look interesting at all. I got like 10 minutes to it, got bored. And I've seen every single special, I think. So I'm a huge fan of Dragon Ball. I'm wearing a Dragon Ball shirt. I'm a huge fan of Dragon Ball Z. So being able to see Dragon Ball Z on the big screen is kind of a dream come true for me. It's something I never thought that I would ever be able to do. Because it's as big as it is here, it's never had a theatrical release. I know it has in Japan, and when a new Dragon Ball Z movie was coming, there was no word of it actually getting a theatrical release. So when Funimation actually announced that it would, I decided I wouldn't watch the sub at all. I would just wait for it to come out and then watch it in the theater, which is what I did. I watched it with Ray. If you watch the podcast, you've heard of him a few times. He and I actually met because of Dragon Ball Z, so it was just kind of perfect that it would be he and I going to the theater together and watching it. And everybody else in the theater was around my age. There were only a few children there, but most of the guys there, and there was mostly dudes, there's very few women, they were my age who just grew up with Dragon Ball Z. So that was really cool, seeing a theater with a bunch of people who grew up the same way you did with a show that you did and were excited as you were. So enough of the actual backstory and stuff. Let's get to the actual movie. So Dragon Ball Z or Battle of the Gods is not the movie that I thought I was going to get. If you've seen most of the Dragon Ball Z movies, you know it's generally big villain comes, Goku and his friends go beat up villain, and it's always rather serious. It's always the world's in danger, stuff like that. This movie's not too much like that. This is surprisingly really funny. More so than any other Dragon Ball Z movie, or even more so than Dragon Ball Z series. I have never laughed so much in Dragon Ball Z. And the crowd erupted in laughter over and over again. This movie was hilarious. There was more comedy than actual action, which is kind of daring for a series that's known for its action and not really its comedy. But it works really well because despite not getting too much action, there's like two really good fights that you get. The others are kind of eh. Those two fights carry the series, or carry the movie, sorry. But the movie doesn't really need to be carried because everybody's still enjoying it through the comedy. One of the great things is that they brought back pretty much everybody. You got Hercule, you got Videl, you have the kids, Trunks and Goten, you have everybody, Supreme Kai, Elder Kai. It's like a big celebration of everything that was Dragon Ball Z. And it was really nice. The villain, Lord Beerus, I think his name was. Well, I mean, he looks like Anubis, but I didn't really like his design. But the first time you see him, it's like out of a Tom and Jerry cartoon, just slapstick comedy, and it was great. And I was like instantly endeared to this guy. And then he's shown to be a badass who he completely destroyed Super Saiyan 3 Goku in like 10 seconds. So you know this is serious. Something interesting about this movie is that they referenced Tarble, which is Vegeta's brother. If you've seen that special, I think it came out in like 2008. And Vegeta's younger brother. So Vegeta references him, not by name. But, so that's canon, which I wasn't too sure about, and this movie confirmed it. So that was interesting. Overall, in terms of action, the movie was kind of lacking, I felt. Like, you have the first fight between Goku and Beerus, which is short, like I said, it's like 10 seconds. And then there's a huge, just crater of I guess, story and comedy where there's no action at all because they're trying to keep Beerus calm because he destroyed the entire planet Earth, and they want to keep. That's the basic story. Is Vegeta and is trying to keep Beerus calm so he doesn't destroy the planet. Meanwhile, Goku's trying to figure out a way to defeat Beerus, and Beerus is kind of on a quest to find what he calls a Super Saiyan God, which nobody's ever heard of. A running joke about Beerus that's funny is that everyone, even including the Eternal Dragon, is afraid of him. That's pretty cool. But yeah, there's a big crater where there's no actual action, which was kind of weird, especially for a Dragon Ball Z movie. But you forget about that really quickly because it's just so funny. Emperor Pilaf makes a comeback with the dog. I think his name is Shu, and the girl who's Mai. They're little kids now. And one of the funniest jokes is the fact that Trunks like starts hitting on Mai, and they actually kind of get together, despite her being like 40 something, but she's in the body of a child. They do some good fourth wall breaking jokes too. Like Trunks flies over to Mai, and then Pilaf screams out, "Why did you fly? If only you had to walk. Like it was a 15-foot walk. Why did you fly?" Which is something I've always wondered about Dragon Ball Z. But I guess if you could fly, you would do it if you had to, or if you would do it if you could. So comedy-wise, this movie's fantastic and hilarious. Characters, everybody pretty much gets a cameo. Even Boo at the like very end. Boo just shows up and he's just eating pudding like the fat ass he is, and it's wonderful. Vegeta has one of the greatest moments he's ever had in Dragon Ball Z, where Bulma gets slapped and taken down, and he just yells, it's either "Don't hurt my Bulma" or "That's my Bulma." And one thing I like is that he's the first one to actually be able to injure Beerus, when usually that would be reserved for Goku. But I just like that change where Vegeta actually got a chance to shine and got to do something. He made him bleed, and he was the first one to do that. And I love how he still has his jealousy of Goku when they're trying to decide who gets to become the Super Saiyan God. Goku's the one, and then Vegeta's like, "Why not me? It's not fair." But they're very true to the characters in this movie, especially. And this annoys me. There's the one thing that annoys me, and it annoys me of all the Dragon Ball Z, not just this movie. Gohan is still useless, completely useless. The thing about Gohan is, I'm gonna go on a little rant here. The thing about Gohan is he's supposed to be the strongest Saiyan in the universe because he went, I think, Mystic. He's Mystic Gohan, so he doesn't even have to turn Super Saiyan. He's a level beyond that or whatever. And he's useless. He got owned by Boo because I don't know who was it that like pressured Toriyama was like, "We need Goku to be the main character. Gohan can't be the main character." Yada yada yada. And then Gohan gets like, he throws one punch at Beerus and it gets knocked the fuck out. What the? Gohan is goddamn useless. And then everyone, I'm not even exaggerating here. There's a point in this movie where he dresses up as the Great Saiyaman, and everybody in my theater groaned. Everyone. Nobody wanted to see him. And I heard one guy yell, "Oh my god, you've got to be kidding." It's good to know that that character is universally hated for just being crap. The Super Saiyan God is actually pretty cool. I like the minimalist approach I went to it. Goku still looks a lot like Goku. His hair's just red, and his eyes are red, and his skin tones change slightly. He even looks a little bit slimmer. They even mentioned that in the movie. So I like it opposed to the grandiose changes that are the various Super Saiyan forms. I was worried at first because I thought it might be a little bit too much like the Kaioken, since that's basically Goku turning red, but they differentiated enough. I didn't like the aura because the aura was like CGI fire. Didn't look too good. And on the subject of CG, most of the CG in this movie I didn't like. There's a point where like a rock or an egg or something turns into like sand in Beerus' hand. That looked awful. The thing about the CG is the CG itself isn't too bad, despite what I just said. It's the fact that the characters don't mesh well with the CG. They stand out too much, and it really looks out of place. Especially in the last fight they have when Goku and Beerus are flying around the entire Earth and like this water splits and this giant rock like comes falling. And it's all CG. It just doesn't fit properly. And I'm not a big fan of that. Really, in terms of complaints, those are the only two I have. The CG doesn't really fit, and the fact that Gohan is still goddamn useless. I'm trying to avoid... I mean, it's a Dragon Ball Z movie. There's not too much to spoil, but I'm trying to avoid big spoilers anyway. There's one thing they do with... I don't like GT. Most people don't like GT. GT's crap. It's just awful. But there's one thing that they do that I like that involves a character from GT. And I think they did it really subtly, and I like the way it came out. So, this is probably going to be the part where the timestamp links to. So, hey, welcome. This is going to be my final verdict. Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods is a faithful Dragon Ball Z... is a faithful continuation of the Dragon Ball Z series in terms of being canon and in terms of the characters being what they're supposed to be. The actions never look better. It's so pretty. Despite the CG, I really like this movie. And it's very unconventional for a Dragon Ball Z movie. It's so heavy on the comedy, and it works so well. Even though really serious, like, the world is going to be destroyed stuff is going on, they still play up the comedy, and it works. It works so well. So Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods is extremely faithful and so much fun to watch. If you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, then you need to watch it. Absolutely, you need to watch it. And if you're someone who grew up with Dragon Ball Z like I am, you've already watched it. You've already seen it. You've probably seen it twice. As terms of a verdict, if I was doing this out of 10, which I'll be doing out of 10, I guess. Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods, I would give it a 9. In terms of Dragon Ball Z movies, it's probably my favorite. That's a little hard to say, though. As I really like Legacy... what's it called? Legend of Bardock? I really like Legend of Bardock and The History of Trunks. Those two are my favorite Dragon Ball Z movies as well. So I would say it's about tied with those two, if not better. It's fantastic. In terms of the dub versus sub debate, I already prefer the Funimation dub over any other Japanese or English dub of Dragon Ball Z. So I automatically like this one better. I just like the voice cast a lot better and the choice of music. But I found that a lot of the comedy is actually missing in the Japanese version. Some of the funniest moments in this Funimation dub is when they're trying to come up with their own jokes to cover the Japanese jokes. And they just come out really funny. You can tell it's mismatched. Judging by like the lip flap movements and stuff, and just the tone of voice that they use. But it's still, it turns out really funny. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods, flubbing over myself here, was a great movie. And they said that they'd like to do more. And I know one's already been announced for, I think, 2015, at least in Japan. So probably 2016 here in North America. And yeah, bring it on. Please, more Dragon Ball Z movies. After what I've just seen, it's fantastic. And I'd absolutely love to have some more. So, that's all I got to say. Podcast should be out Monday. See you guys then.